right, guys, welcome to Get a Grip with Kendall Roosing. Today we have an amazing guest, Xande Ribeiro. Hello.
Hello, Kendall. It's a pleasure to be here with your project. You guys don't know, I've been watching this girl since she's like 11 years old. Did you bring the picture?
I do have a picture. I'm gonna put it on.
Maybe she'll do the whole thing where the picture shows there. So just happy to be here and then see what it's about.
Yes.
I think I'm very comfortable around her, so I may talk too much. So
Perfect. I'm gonna only ask personal questions then.
It is what it is. I'm retired now, so
now you can be saucy online. So today, guys, we're gonna be asking Xande a lot of questions. But before I do that, I want to make sure that you guys know exactly who you're listening to. Xande is an absolute legend in the jiu-jitsu world. He is not only a great competitor, he's also the owner of Six Blades here in Austin and the Six Blades Association. How many locations do you guys have now? Do you know?
I should know, but
I should have prepared you with that question.
I could say that we are now in about 16 countries.
Wow.
I think that's easier to go this way.
And when did you start Six Blades, like officially? Because you and your brother had
pretty much was a rebranding. Saulo wanted to take his life different route, and for the marketing purposes, even Ribeiro was very hard to sell and stuff like that. Right. So we did rebrand for Six Blades, which was something that was created inside of Ribeiro Jiu-Jitsu. The whole idea of Six Blades and stuff came from like a hashtag. We're like Six Blades are literally like the swoosh. Like imagine if Nike would be called swoosh.
Right.
So that's how it started. The pandemic hit, so we think that that time, that's when I established Six Blades. Mm-hmm. Some people even ask me what MMXX means. It's the Roman for 2020.
Okay.
People say, is that memento mori? Like the Stoics, is that like XX has something to do with you? I'm like, no, it's just 2020. So 2020 when we officially started to like rebranding and work with the schools and stuff like that. But of course, during the pandemic, there was no way to charge in the business. But we rebranded. We make everything very organic, reestablishing what we were doing. And then today, we're in about 16 countries
16 countries. It's amazing. So Six Blades Austin, Six Blades Association, 7-time black belt IBJJF gi world champion, 2 times no gi, including the absolute. The gi was 2 times in the absolute as well?
Yeah, double gold.
Yeah, wow.
2006 and 2008.
Amazing. And then a 2-time ADCC champion. But you've been to ADCC how many times?
My first trials was in 1999. I was a brown belt.
I was 2.
I lost to Leo Dalla, and the winner of that trial was actually Ricardo Rona. He won that division that Ricardo Rona became, and then the big guy. And then I did another trials, which I lost to Travis Luther in Indiana, which that's our story with Heath from Pettigo. Because he was helping, he was 14 years old, and I had no one to warm up, and he warmed up with me, and that's our little story. Yeah.
Wow.
And then
what year was that?
2000.
2000.
Yeah, because I did the 1999 for the 2000 trials, the trials for the 2000 ACC, and then because I used to have it every year until it turned twice a year, every 2 years. So 2000, I lost. Laudala was my first no-gi tournament ever.
Oh my gosh!
I fought with this shirt was like double X and stuff. Like I just literally fought like I was going to like go
the
out.
Gym. Yeah.
That was my first no-gi ever, and then I did that trial. I ended up going to the finals with Travis Luther, and I was losing, and then he lost to my brother the actual event.
Okay.
And then that's when they spaced out 2 years, and that's when they did São Paulo 2003. And the ADCC was interesting because I wasn't supposed to be there. But but my brother was supposed to fight a tournament. It's called a Grapples Quest.
Mm-hmm.
And he ended up suffering appendix. And I was in Ohio. At that time, I already lived in Ohio, in Toledo, Ohio. And then he called me, hey, I'm not competing. I'm in the hospital. I'm like, what's going on? No, I just got an appendix. So they're asking if you want to fight. I'm like, okay, I'll fight.
Wow.
So I fought Todd Margolis, which at the time was one of the greatest guys there. And then I fought Pablo Popovich.
Oh, wow.
And I submit them all. And then my finals are with Jeff Munson. And then Jeff Munson had this whole, he beat Saulo at ADCC and all that. That was his whole thing. And he told Jeff Munson, and I ended up submitting him.
Wow.
So that got the eyes of the ADCC guys. And they invited me to 2003. So 2003 was my first ADCC.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So has
a
huge
2003? Huh? How old were you 2003?
In 2003, I was 5 or 6, depending on the year.
How old were you? 5. Okay.
We're a year apart.
Babies.
Babies, I know. So you have your long ADCC history. You're also a 4-time Pan Am champion, 2-time Brazilian national champion, gi and no gi, and a gi and no gi world pro champion. So just like a little career, just a short one.
Yeah, like I kind of did it all, I think, right?
Yeah.
Like at the time, like I think me growing up, there wasn't too many things to do.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the main tournaments.
You covered all the bases for sure.
Yeah, so I covered all the, but the only thing that I never won as an adult was the Europeans.
Wow.
And even like before retirement, I was like, man, should I just like go for the Europeans? I may come back for that. That's something that I would like to do as an adult, but then I'll be like part 45 when I do it. I did fought, and I could have won. And I actually fought Lagarto on that.
Oh, yeah, Sula's professor.
I fought Lagarto like 5 times.
Wow.
So we had the open division, and I was in the final with Braulio. And then what happened was they called me and say, hey, would you fight Braulio right now for the finals? And then tomorrow you guys just do the division.
Oh.
I was like, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
So 3 minutes in the fight, I popped my knee. We kept going. I lost, and then I took silver in the open, but I didn't came back compete and Lagarto won the division. And that was my history. And then I didn't compete Europeans until like 2018 maybe. And then I already fought Masters. I won my division, and I closed out to Gustavo.
Okay.
But that was Masters.
Okay, but you clearly didn't miss any major. You have a very extensive list, and this is not even anywhere close to the clear list. Like I remember we were looking up your accomplishments, and the list goes on and on and on. So tons more on there. But the reason that I was so excited about having you on the podcast and to ask you this next question is because as somebody who's had a really extensive career and is now transitioning into focusing more on business, it's funny because you and Rafael Lovato have a very kind of a similar time period in your life. You guys did your whole Last Dance. You had your last adult competitions. Well, maybe unless you come back to the Europeans together. And I was asking about his transition as well. So when you have someone who has a highly competitive career with so many accomplishments and then also has gone now into the business world, the next question or the first question is, what does it mean to you to have a grip on your life, to feel like, man, I'm happy, I'm grounded, I'm successful, I'm doing the things I want to do, and I love my life?
I think the biggest grip in life is be balanced. It's be able to have time to yourself, time to your family. And I think that's the main thing. Being balanced and be happy and satisfy what you have. A lot of people like, oh, what's next? Well, I want more. There's this whole idea of like wanting more. For me, it's almost kind of weird because like whatever I'm building will not change what I do because I have everything I love. I have a beautiful daughter. I have a beautiful school. I have people. You know what I mean? Of course, I have a huge investment that I put, my academy and stuff. That it's just a matter of time. Maybe in 3 years I'll pay everything off and I can buy a house. So I think for me, it's just having the balance of doing things that you love, having time. I think time is the most important thing that you can put out there. And so for me, find the balance between not allowing my visions, like for business. I was even discussing my business last time because I have 2 ways to do business. Just focus on me, where I can do business deals that won't really fit me, which I could be making way more money maybe, but I wouldn't be creating something. You know what I mean? I think that's the main challenge right now. Like, do I have time to create something versus just be selfish? Say, okay, I can build a brand, I can profit from the brand, and that's it. And I'm the only one make the money, and then go teach and go do things like that. But now the idea is, okay, what vision do I have? Do I want to build something where I can have more people involved, where I can build like a department of this, a department of that? And I think
instead of filling one cup, now you're talking about filling multiple cups.
Multiple cups, yeah, right. Because the business of jiu-jitsu is not just an academy. There's so much, especially nowadays. Well, look at your setup. You have an assistant, you have blah blah blah. If you have to do it yourself, like, okay, I have someone that I trust, and that's someone that's gonna come from your background. And that's what you want to do, and I think that's where I'm right now. I know it's always a struggle, like I said, the investment that you make. For me, the biggest investment is time. It's not even money, because money we make, but time, that's the thing.
Can't get back.
Yeah, what time I'm losing? Like, could I have maybe worse no gi? Could I have focused more on the guys instead of focusing on the academy? and things like that. For example, in a couple of weeks, Lovato is going to Japan, and I'm going to him versus going to see my family. So there's always these choices that you got to make. You know what I mean? But I think what's important is people that around you understand that. Like during for example, the Nogi camp, I told Felipe in V3A, I can't be as present as you'd like to because I have to travel, I have to do certain things, I have to raise money, and they're like, oh, okay. So the hats, they change a lot until I'm able to get back that balance where like, okay, I can plan. Like what's the most thing about my partner business is it's just hard for me to plan something.
Right.
Like, okay, let's plan the Camp of Worlds. Well, I can't plan yet because I know exactly the date I'm
what's
going to be there.
happening.
You know what I mean? And I want to be in a moment that like I just stay in Austin and people come and visit me and things like that. Because like I said, one of the things about building a brand is not just the profit. It's creating something that people can benefit from, and also they can afford to come back.
Right.
And I think that's the main thing. And you touched in a good thing that people now now you're gonna just focus on business. I have never really been 100% of an athlete. I moved to America in 2002.
Right.
So
and you were always teaching, right?
I was taught. I think I was more of I have always been a teacher way more than an athlete because, like I said, look at the industry, right? At the circuit, there was nothing.
Yeah.
Like
there was that didn't exist.
Yeah, that was
time,
like grapples. That was like grapples quest was the biggest thing. Naga is long, but I never fought, and that was about it. And random tournaments that show up in the main IBJJF tournaments.
It wasn't a career at the time.
Yeah, there wasn't a career. Now we have athletes. Okay, like I think
we're just starting now.
Yeah, maybe I was the last. Maybe I was the last true fighter in a way because I just come out of my couch, train, and go compete. Now you cannot do that.
Yeah,
you have to be in the circuit. You have to be competing. You have to be active.
You have to make yourself a business.
Yeah, you have to be trained to be in that environment, right? Like, do I think I could win worlds? Yes. Do I think I can withstand a whole year of competition? Hell no. You know what I mean? Right. So I think that's the issue with that. And I think for me, that transition, it's not that I'm going to focus more because I'm still going to do things that I love. Like I said, the great thing is that I don't have to worry about, do I want to be there? Do I want to still do this? Like those thoughts, they'll be like consuming my time and my energy and the selfishness that you have to be an athlete. Like I retire from Worlds, I retire from ADCC. That was what I wanted to do. Of course, building a business, traveling. Of course, my performance did say I didn't get to win at least one fight in each event, but I was happy, because I was able to train. I was training hard. I was in shape. Everything happened. But what did I miss? I missed a whole year of competitions that I should have done something more to be in that situation. And now for me, it's taking all the baggage because when I started, there was no business. Like even Baja wasn't what it is today. Like, here you go. Here's a blueprint. All you need to do is just follow rules.
Right.
Like people would be like, hey, hi, how are you? Hi, how much is Jiu Jitsu? Oh, it's $100. Thank you. Bye. Boom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We just lost a guy. We did the yellow pages. You know what I mean? Yellow pages, word of mouth. There was no system. There was no method. I remember like when we first did our like blue belt test, I was like, oh my God, this is so amazing.
Revolutionary.
This is so revolutionary. And now it's amazing that there's so much. Now there's social media, there's marketing, there's publicity, there's like financing, there's legal
there are templates to follow too. And also people you can call and ask questions that have had successful schools. And it's like, hey, can you help me out with this? What would your advice be? Back at that time, like, cause I remember my parents opened their first school in, I want to say 2007. I have to double check, but something around that time. And even then, like there weren't like these lists of people to call and ask for advice. No one even had lawyers. I mean, people didn't like. No one was like. I know that with Gracie Baja, some of the leaders of GB, for example, they went to study with Starbucks, and they were like, "Hey, how can we make this replicable model?" And that didn't exist, like it does now.
Yeah, and the vision is beautiful, Now, like, people just think, I just open a school. Like, there's so much that has to be done. Because now it's changed from, like, you're my disciple to you're my customer, in a way.
Yes,
right?
It is.
So, again, we just have to find the balance, right? Because, in a way, it's still martial arts, right? We're teaching people, like, behavior. We teach people, not teaching, but, like, not that we're going to teach them how to
No,
have
but you're
morals.
modeling and you're creating an environment where they can learn more than just one,
about
just
themselves,
a sport. Yeah.
and I think that's what it is. And definitely there is a bunch of things, but it's still a customer.
Right. And people, I think when people get into business and jiu-jitsu, they find their rent and then they decide on their tuition and they say, okay, if I have this many people multiplied by this amount, then my bills are paid. I'm like, ooh, it's not quite that simple.
That, buddy. First of all, 30% of that's gone out of the bat just to start. So you're not making that. So, there's so many numbers. Like when you like, even like, that's the first thing, like when I tell people when they join Six Blades, I'm like, okay, do you know what a P&L is? Oh, no. Do we know how to do this? They don't know literally 80%. Oh, you
mean as an associate, right? Like
sometimes when they come in, we make them questions, and that's why it's important. Like, what is important to have an association, like, Six Blades, which is still very like, not as strict as Gracie Barra, for example, right? What's the beauty of it? Because you don't need to think; you just need to follow those steps,
right, and
understand where your role is. Right. The thing, what I think when academies they're not successful is because sometimes, that old school guy, like, oh no, if I give $1,000 for this guy in marketing, I'm losing $1,000. I say no, that $1,000 can turn into 5 clients.
Yeah,
and I think that's what people need to understand. Like, I know where I'm not good at. Like, what am I good at? I'm good at people. I'm good in teaching classes. I'm good in having vision. I'm good at having ideas. But am I the best to make that idea into reality? No.
Right.
Now
I
need someone that, know the operations. I need someone that know how to put the thing in an Excel sheet.
Right.
And sometimes I tell this to people like, I don't think I want to open school anymore.
Yeah.
No, it's doable. It's doable. You know what I mean? Let's do this together.
Right. Well, it's like you either feeling like you're going to be able to have these things on the list that you know how to do, or you need to be willing to hand over the reins and delegate. And not only like, I think people might be okay with letting go of the control freakness and being delegating and having people jump in, but then you have to pay those people well.
Exactly.
Like, I think that's in jiu-jitsu a big issue. It's like, oh, if I have sometimes especially in some old school mindsets, it's like, oh, well, you're my student. Like, of course you want to do this for me. And it's like, whoa, like there is some give and take for sure in those relationships. Like, it's not all just money and contracts, but at the same time, that is very old school, like an indentured servant. Like these people that are students, like if you're going to have them do a job, like you need to hire them for real.
Well, like I said, what you say, I witness so much. Like the way people used their authority over people is sad. I just think it's sad. Like talking about that part of it, it's just sad. People holding belts, like the thing that really disgusts me the most was sometimes I would like someone would introduce me to students, and the first they say, "Oh, this guy has so much money." I'm like, what does that have to do?
Why is that
like, like, you know what I mean? The guys right
I've
right
had
there.
that experience so many times too.
He's my golden goose, like, and they hold them with that thing, and that's so bad, like you said, like that's like the disciple and the customer, right? So when you have a disciple, like even Japan, they have the sumo guys wiping your butt, right? Like you still need to be able to talk to people, right? Like for example, tomorrow we're doing a Sojido, which is the way of the cleaning. We're going to clean the academy. I'm not telling people, hey, you guys got to come because I'm serious. So, hey guys, this is a ceremony. We do this every year. We just come in. I've been told that BYOB. I'll bring some pizza. I say, oh, what is that entitled of? I say, well, like just walk around the gym and clean what you can. You're going to clean the windows. You're going to clean the bathrooms. You're going to scrub the mats so the mats look nice. Because my mats are black and gray, and then some of the black, because with time they get a little. So just to scrub it out, and then we just have a party. I'm not just demanding them to do it, and I think that's the old mindset. Like, oh, let me do like a social media person today costs a lot of money. Right. It's a badass work. Like to do, like to understand the algorithm and how to do things.
Yes.
It's a lot of work. It's time consuming.
Yeah.
Well, just start like this. How much is an hour rate to hire someone to do that? Let's say $8 an hour.
Right.
It costs you like hours a day, like 5 hours a day. Like just an example, right? Just go through that process.
Yes.
It costs you like $2,000 a month to have someone that really is a professional. And I think that's what business, people that want to open an academy need to be accountable. Okay, you can make an agreement to someone in the beginning of a matter,
right?
But for that person to actually stay, like again, it's not about the money; it's about the recognition of the work. And like we're talking about, like much of the old mindsets, like you own everything
You
for
owe
me.
me. Yeah.
Bro, I'm paying school.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
exactly.
like what's
People
happening?
treat their students like it's like, well, I'm sensei, so you owe me this like loyal. Oh, the word loyalty is so overused. You owe me this loyalty, or you owe me this like service, and it's like, but I'm a paying like I'm also a customer because it's an interesting balance, right? It's martial arts
Mhm.
and it's business, and it's not just one or the other. Because yes, it's a business, but we have a different relationship than my person I go get coffee from at the store, right? Like
Mhm.
it's a different relationship. It's closer, but it's also not only martial arts. Like I
Mhm.
think there has to be a lot of respect in
Mhm.
both of the parts of the relationship.
And definitely communication.
Yeah.
You know, I tell my students like, guys, this is martial art. I'm gonna be tough on you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very open, right? Like when I teach my seminars, when I talk, and I say, hey, you know, I know I shouldn't. Sometimes I want to just the way I talk. Sometimes I'll may throw a cuss word in the middle. You know, I maybe one day I'll be a little sad, and I literally open the book right away. I say, look, some days I'll be an asshole. You know, and that's what it is. Because
if you want to sign up here, here's what you're gonna get.
well, because the reality, you know what I mean? Like they're there for that, right? They're
Right.
there to be comfortable where it's uncomfortable, right?
Mm-hmm.
I say, look, sometimes I say, come on, dude, what the fuck? If I say that in the academy, it could be a guy honking the horn outside of you, and how are you going to deal with that? So in a way, it's still part of the process because I know you're a student, but you're here to be a martial artist, and there is, which I like to keep that. There's still that old school thing that I'm going to look at the eye and say, you're fucking that all up. You better handle that. Now, loyalty for me is a different thing. It's not because you're paying, now you under me. I think it's loyalty, which is one of the blades. It's not that like, oh, you know, it has to be both ways. For me, loyalty
it's
is like
not
this.
an undying devotion. I think people say loyalty, but they
but
really mean devotion. They're like, I want you to be devoted to me. And it's like, wait, that's totally one-sided.
Yeah. So in my opinion, like when I tell people about the blade of loyalty, it's about loyalty to your principles.
Yeah,
All
really
right?
loyalty to yourself.
To yourself.
Yeah.
And like, do we agree that we have the same
Are
principles?
we aligned?
You know, are we aligned? Then therefore there's loyalty, but it's not like unilateral.
Right.
It's a combination. I'm loyal to you as a student. I'm gonna serve you. Like even I ask people like, oh, I'm a samurai. I say, do you even know what a freaking samurai is? You know, samurai means to serve.
Right.
Like, do you even know that?
Samurai doesn't mean to go fight.
Yeah,
like that's not the definition.
Samurai, say the first thing of the samurai, he's a servant.
Yeah.
To the duty of do what they're supposed to do. And our duty as teachers to give way more than to take. And people take way more than they give.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when I travel, I come back and I make sure I teach. You know, of course, nowadays, I'm about to be 42. You know, coming back from trips are getting a little like, oh, okay, I do
need a little more recovery time.
I do need a day to travel because I don't want to also just, you know, be here and be an idiot because I'm tired, you know? So I think that's what it is. And it's a beautiful journey. And I think communication is key. I'm super open with my students. You know, of course, I keep that, you know, they respect me also because, and then, you know, when you kind of open that communication, then comes the blade of respect, you know, because they need to respect, because I respect them.
Yeah.
You know, as long as the boundary is not crossed, they always going to understand, oh, if I had a drink with them, you know, they're not going to come, hey, buddy, and they come and say, hey, I'm still your sensei. You know, remember that. Like, outside of here, I don't care. You can treat me the way you want. You want to bow me in the street? I'm not going to say, hey, you should call me this. I'm a friend. But inside those lines, there's a hierarchy. There's something that has to be followed because I'm following too. I'm the first one to follow, you know, and I give that example. And, you know, and the rest is just enjoy, you know. Jiu-Jitsu is such a beautiful thing. For me, Jiu-Jitsu is the antidote of the world. You know, everyone should do it. We humans, we're supposed to be touching each other and hugging and you know, and sweating one another, you know, and grappling and being silly. You know what I mean? I think
what's interesting about that is I was talking to someone the other day and he said, like, in what other environment do you see like your grandma, your mom, the grandkid, my best friend, me, all like rolling around on the ground together? You know, like you said, like, it's such a fascinating thing to me to realize, because I started jiu-jitsu so young, so I never had this experience, but most adults don't have intimate contact with anyone, maybe their spouse or maybe young kids, but especially outside of that, and then even then a lot of people don't, they don't have intimate contact with other human beings at all. And that's so therapeutic for us in so many ways, and it is fun, and we're made to work out our inner beings like with our physical body. And so exercise is great, of course, but doing that with another human and physical contact, I think is really hard to replicate. And most people just don't have that. They're uncomfortable with intimate contact with other human beings, very uncomfortable.
And also build trust.
Yeah.
You know, in a world that no one trusts one another, it's super important. Like, can I trust my girlfriend roll with another guy?
Right.
You know, like, and I think that's the beautiful part of. So we build trust because, okay, you're not gonna hurt me, and I'm gonna hurt you.
If I tap, you're gonna let go. Like, I'm trusting you to choke me out.
Yeah, you're gonna respect me. You're not gonna, use the things to, to whatever. You know, a guy that, touching a girl or something like that. You know, and also at the same time is your hormones, like whatever, dopamine, whatever.
Right.
Like hugging, you know, you're aggressively hugging someone. And I don't think there's a better feeling than like you just have the best flow roll with intention and intention, and then you just like fall with your side, the touch, like, oh, man, it feels so good. The gi's open, the steam comes out, and you feel. People don't understand, like, you guys just talk about jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu means life. We're always talking about life.
It's life, yeah.
Well, in a way, we're talking about life in a very physical way. I took your arm this way. You know, someone said one thing one time that jiu-jitsu is more like jazz. You can see an arm lock, but it's never going to be the same. There's always a vector, a factor within that technique that you apply that's different. It's never the same. It's a quadruple. They call it a chess game. I don't think it's a chess game. It's a chess game in Matrix.
Yeah.
You know, you can move a thing here and I think it rolls around. Now it's a different perspective.
It's like a chess game with poker too, because there's a lot of like
so much. Like it's so much because it's not linear.
Right.
It's not linear. There's so much going on. It's equations of things, you know. There's always that equations like what wins, flexibility or strength. Well, depends on the time.
Right.
Like, there's so many. If you talk about like if you put like a beautiful mind on it and just make it like a physical attribute to everything that's happening, it's countless. It's infinite.
Yeah. So, man, we jumped around to so many good topics. I'm wondering, like,
sorry if I come out of topic. We're talking about business now. We're talking about quantum physics.
This is jiu-jitsu. This is how it happens. Yeah. So, for people who don't know, like, so I think watching you growing up, I know bits and pieces of your story that I've caught along the way. But unless people came up with you, like by your side, the guys you're competing with, we don't really know your entire life story from like start to finish. So give us like a 10-minute version of how you got to where you are now.
Wow.
I know, a lot of pressure. And then I'm gonna ask you a couple questions about it too. So you don't no pressure.
In 1981, here goes. I was born in a full moon. I found out I was born in a full moon, January 20th, 1981. Yeah.
He just got his astrology done recently, so that's going to be the next question.
So that was pretty powerful. I'm still kind of like debating about that. So, anyway, I was born in Manaus, state of Amazonas. My first contact with martial arts was judo. Judo is like a national Brazilian sport. Like every mom, like, oh, put him in judo. So I even have my gi. My gi is literally that big. My gi is like that tall. So, but I was like the whole thing, a lot of headlocks and stuff. So that was my first contact with grappling, which was interesting. I always tell this story. And then I moved to Manaus. And we didn't fight each other. We grappled. So we had like a grass. So every time there was an issue, we'd, okay, let's go to the grass. We'd grapple.
Just you and Salo?
No. Salas was already, looking for girls. And I was, because we were about 7 years apart.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you were so far.
Yeah, when I moved to this condo, I was 8. And I told the girls I was 9. Because they're all like a year older than me.
Well, you started young. Was about I'm not 15. Surprised.
Huh?
I said you started young. I'm not surprised.
No, I have those stories too.
I bet you do have those stories. We're going to get into it.
I wasn't, and I have never been like a girl hunter at all.
Oh, never. No.
I'm serious.
No, I know.
They even thought I was going to be like gay because every time we go to a party, I'll be dancing with the girls because they have the whole thing of like boys plays with boys, girls plays with girls, and here I am dancing with the girls, right? But for me, it was just a friend. Hey, you want to come and dance with us? We need a partner. You're the only guy. I'm like, okay. And then my parents be like, why is he dancing with the girls? He should be playing with the boys. He should be like getting dirty, and he's dancing.
They were worried,
But everything is very playful. So anyway, and then I moved to Manaus, and then one day, that's how pretty much my jiu-jitsu story started. One day we were grappling, this kid inside my guard, he just like cranked my neck, and I was complaining. I got home, and I was complaining. So what happened to you? I was like, well, this guy just cranked my neck. He's like, you gotta get stronger. You gotta go to jiu-jitsu. I'm like, what's jiu-jitsu? Which I've been grappling the grass for a year now with boys, and then And it's like, no, I'm training this. Da, da, da. I started 6 months ago. Oh, it's super cool. Da, 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 da. I was like, all right, I'll try it. And I'm like, Mom, I'm just going to go there. So I came in and I started with Associação Monteiro. There are 4 brothers. They're all 4 lawyers. It's probably the winningest school in Manaus to the date. And yeah, I was like, our mat was smaller than this. We were 12 kids. I was super scared. I didn't know what to expect. I bought a gi. Went there and I'm learning like how to old school pass, do Americano. It's so cool until someone put someone in the mount on me, and I felt claustrophobic. That was the first thing. I was like, what's happening to this? I felt that agony. Like, I don't know what that is, but I need to fight this off.
Yeah.
And it was very organic, you know. Even competition for me was never like to win. It was always like, oh, we're gonna go to competition. Okay, we go.
Interesting.
You know, and we go and end up winning. Pretty much the first 8 years of my career, I had like 2 losses as like infantile, infanto juvenile, and then all of that. Like I said, wasn't easy. I want to say it wasn't easy because I trained a lot, but I never was just thinking, I gotta win. I need to win. No, so I just felt like
feel very pressured. Like
I just felt like this. I'm just gonna get good at this thing, and I'm gonna show how good I am. Okay. It has always been my thought. Okay. You know what I mean? That's why when I had my loss, a couple of losses, I was a little idiot when I lost. Emotional, but I was like, okay, you know, I just couldn't perform how I would, and I'm going to get better at it. And I'm going to get better at it, you know. And then I start to and then I moved to Rio in 1999. So anyway, that whole process went, and I won my first national championship. I was 12 years old. Carlos Grace touched my shoulder that day, and he smiled at me. That was my life with Carlos. And then the week later, I met Elio. So I was like, wow, you know, I'm meeting like whatever. Yeah. Like I didn't even understand what it was, right? But I had huge respect for that story, you know, especially because I grew up at that point, like UFC was coming up, and people like, oh my god, Royce Chris, like I knew he was gonna win, you know, because at the time Jiu Jitsu didn't lose.
Yeah. But the world didn't know yet, but you knew. You know, even in Jiu Jitsu knew.
Yeah, but I was in the whole Luta Livre Jiu Jitsu bullshit, where you couldn't wear a Jiu Jitsu shirt around the Luta Livre guys. Like, you guys get so easy right now because when people want to prove that no gi was better than gi, we scrapped. Yeah. We didn't grapple.
Just like, in the street? Anywhere.
Dude, anywhere. Like, I was like a very, like, I was a condo little kid, right? I wasn't really much into fights. Like, I wasn't in situations. I don't know, maybe I always had this spiritual protection. I could be in a party, you know, leave, go home. Next day, I show up, everyone is scratched. Say, what happened? Oh, we got in a fight as soon as you left.
Wow. I was like, well, that happened all the time?
All the time.
That's crazy.
It's insane. You don't want to get in a fight? Be close to me.
All right, good to know.
And I say, what happened? Oh, those guys from Luta Livre, they start like eyeballing us, or we just have to scrap them. You know what I mean? And that
why was there this big separation between the two? For people who don't understand or haven't heard a lot of these stories, why was that happening?
I think it started with this whole idea of Elio tried to prove Jiu-Jitsu was better. And I think, I don't know exactly how it happened. It just started this whole like, oh, we're better than you guys. And then, like I said, we didn't prove by grappling. We proved like you know, just put it out there. If you Gordo want to prove that he's better than Victor Hugo, there's no grappling. Okay, let's fight. Like, to see if your jiu-jitsu in that environment,
no rules,
you know, will prevail.
Right.
I don't really know where it started. I know it started in Rio, but Manaus always got that back. So we're going in that environment. Like, even like during Carnival, we didn't train. We took the gi off to do smack fighting and learn self-defense. I remember like as a 10-year-old kid, like we do the gang fighting, like 3 kids against me, and I had to get rid of this. I'll get home
in training.
Yeah,
in training. Oh wow,
3 we did like gang fights. Like, we did like gang stuff. It's called taparia, right? So we did like 4 teams, and then we did the semifinals. And then what happened was 3 minutes just smacking and stomping. And then 2 minutes, you can finish the guy. If you finish the guy, he's out. And then now you can be helped. Dude, many times I'll be here and I see like someone smack you in the face.
Maybe we should bring back this to the kids class. Yeah, we started at 6 Plays Austin.
People don't want to smack each other, but they can actually put the gloves on. Gloves on is fine.
We need a better waiver for this.
Yeah. So anyway, I grew up in an environment, you know, where we had to prove ourselves, and there was no VHSs. There was nothing like that.
Yeah,
we just trained. You know, there was no such things as methodology. We just trained a lot. Yeah. You know, and I competed, and that's how I went in. You know, right away I'm winning nationals, and I'm winning like Amazon State Championships, and then 1997 was my first Worlds, and I was a juvenile when I fought adult, and I ended up taking third. You know, Terere was the champion, and Rodrigo Pinheiro was the second. So Rodrigo Pinheiro beat me in the semifinals. And I was like, whoa. And people were like, oh my God. I'm like, what is this? For me, it was just like, whatever.
I'm just doing my best.
And everybody's making all big deal because Saulo was already Saulo. Like, this whole like cameras on me. I'm like, what's going on? You know?
So at this time, like, what did people think about you as Saulo's brother? Like, was that your story? People were like, Xande's Saulo's brother, or they just were like,
oh yeah, I'm always going to be Saulo's brother. I'm proud of that, you know? But I was so new. Like even Saulo just knew like, okay, he's good, but he hadn't really
been tested like that.
Yeah, you know, and then I go in and he'd be like, man, you felt really good. That was awesome, you know, and things like that. But also he had the big team as well. But also I was fighting against his team.
Oh gosh.
Because I was from Manaus and you know what I mean? I wouldn't like, okay, I'm on your team. Like it's not like that. Even like we had a tournament that I fought two of his guys, and up losing to one of them. And then it was this whole thing. I got so upset because Sal was like taunting me so much. It was more because of that. But I understand that really forged me of who I am.
Yeah.
And then of course I moved to Rio. So one day Saulo goes like, hey, why don't you move to Rio? I'm like, okay. That was literally like that. But for
How old were you?
Huh?
How old were you when you moved to Rio?
I was 17.
And he was just like, come over, and you said,
yeah, I say, hey, why don't you go to Rio? You know, Manaus is so small for you. It's time for you to move on. I'm like, I had no clue how was Rio. I had no clue what to expect. I just said, all right, I'm just going to finish my school and go. And my mom said, you want to go? I'm like, well, why not? You know, like for me, it was just simple. Like I never really thought. I never actually put too much thought on it. And then 1999, and I went to and then I did the test. I passed college. I went to law school. And then, of course, I got to Rio. Now it's like, okay, it's a different world. I was a purple belt already. You know, I got my purple belt at 16.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I got my purple belt at 16, and I fought Brasileiro at 16. I took third. That's the one I lost to South Student. I was a purple belt already. And then I went to Pan Am's in Miami in 99, and I won Pan Am's. Now I'm like, oh, wow, the kid is coming, you know?
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. And then Sal was like super excited to have, okay, my brother.
Yeah.
But he tested me. Like, that's why, like, the whole diamond ideas are pressure create diamonds because Saulo, like,
he's
a martial artist. Like, he's definitely a old general samurai reincarnated.
Well, I mean, I hear so many stories about Saulo, but I never spent a lot of time with him. So I'm going to ask you later, but we'll get onto it now because I think there's a good time. Like so I have my younger sister, of course, that we train together sometimes, but it was never in a position where I was her main coach. Like here I'm the person who's going to teach you how to win. Right. And that's a lot of pressure, but especially with Saulo. And I know that he was like very, very hard on you. How did that experience shape not only the athlete you are, but then the coach you became?
Well, first of all, I never wanted to be him. Right. Of course I have that. I want to be like my brother.
Right.
But right away I saw, when I start to like, you know, spend time with him, I say, well, like, wow, it was so different. Like, you know what I mean? What works for him doesn't work for me.
I see.
You know what I mean? And a lot of times he's so passionate, you know what I mean? Like, it's unbelievable. He's so passionate. He loses with you. Like, he does not, like, I'm more like, all right, man, you know what I mean? You lose, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Right? For me, like, I will coach my students until a level that they want to be coached.
Right.
Like, he's the type of guy that, like, he doesn't take that for answer.
He will go all in no matter what.
He'll go all in. He'll lose his mind. He'll cry. He'll like, it's crazy. It's amazing. You know what I mean? It could be a little over because now it's almost like he wants more than you, and like he kind of overload some weak people.
Right.
And I think I was able to shield that a little bit. First of all, not leaving the expectation, right? Like, I expect you to behave this way. Like, I expect you to
of your students, you mean? Like, you're expecting your students to be a certain way?
Him with me.
Like, not his expectations.
Yeah, like, because like sometimes you like, I would train the way he told me to train. I'll train, but after a while, I feel, well, this type of training doesn't really work for me because it's hurting me. Like, I need
to do something different.
I need to do something different. You know what I mean? And then, but that was a good balance. You know what I mean? And then he's like, hey, how you feel? Like, he was very good.
Also, it shifted.
Yeah, and then he started to shift a little. And then he started to go like, because he started getting older, say, okay, it's not that easy.
Yeah.
I need more rest. And the one thing that Saulo was really good is like, no, you look like shit, go home. Like, he would not touch a gi for a whole week before he trained. I was like, wow, how you do that? And he's like, well, because I'm already in shape. I want to miss this. Because if I train until Wednesday, I'm
not going to miss it by Saturday or Friday.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Right. So he always had that. So he always taught me, okay, rest is super important, which now there's this whole thing about resting, recovery. We did that back in the day. Like,
yeah.
I could name a lot of things that people are doing right now that we be doing forever.
Yeah.
We just didn't have the Instagram to tell people we're doing cold showers. We'll be doing cold showers for like kettlebells. I've been doing kettlebells for 21 years.
Yeah.
I've been doing crazy cold showers with Steve Maxwell since I'm like a brown belt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm doing yoga since I'm 18 years old. Like it's all this thing, man. It's just like packaged differently. So I think it molded, because the training was super hard. And Saulo's style was more of a like emotional than physical. Because we all know you can be 100% ready if your brain's not where it's supposed to be. You're not going to do it. That's why when I fought Roger, I'm like, whatever. I train Saulo every day.
Right.
I have that confidence. And I went through all the emotional things and you know what I mean? Like, and I'm ready.
Yeah.
And that's all. It's just about performing correctly. And also he's a genius. He's a genius. He'll make something that you like. You have sometimes he'll be like talk this position, he'll look, but he'll never say anything until you actually ask him. Say, hey, how do you think? And he'll be like, just like that. Boom, boom. I'm like, okay. Oh my God.
You could have said that an hour ago when I was
could have said an hour ago. I'll say, well, you were listening to it. And
you weren't ready.
And then he brings the older brother. Anyway, it's so fun. So it helped me to understand a lot about me. And also that he cannot do things for me, and like I said, he'll get overly upset. He'll get overly because I understand his passion for it. But sometimes you maybe would feel like, oh, I did something wrong. Now I'm starting to feel sad,
right?
Because he's sad, So one thing that definitely I do when they lose, I'm like, if you're not feeling a loss, I'm not gonna feel for you, because you're the one that has to pull the trigger,
right?
You know what I mean? So I'm more like, I cannot want more than you. I'll push you, but like, if you don't want to be pushed, like if you look at the history of like, the greats like Kobe Bryant or whatever, those guys, Michael Jordan, they were well coached. But if you look at that, like little 100% of the edge was on them.
Right.
Like Michael Jordan would by himself stay shooting hoops. Kobe Bryant would wake up 4 a.m. to go lift.
And those are the kind of people too that you can put them. Someone said this to me and it clicked. Like you can put them with most coaches and they're going to be extraordinary, because of what they have and what they're bringing to the table. It doesn't negate the importance of having great coaching, but what did he say? He said, you can, great athletes, like extraordinary athletes will succeed in spite of bad coaching, even, rather than being made to be like, just because someone has this coach and they're great doesn't mean you look at the coach and that tells you everything you need to know, right? Because they're going to do well no matter what.
It's almost create a crutch, right? Oh, I need a good coach so I can be good.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, look, if you're a champion and you don't motivate yourself, you're on the wrong stuff.
No matter where you go, you're still with yourself.
Yeah.
And I've seen, and man, you've probably seen like countless athletes the same, but you see these amazing athletes, or these athletes, let me rephrase, these athletes who want to be amazing and they jump from team to team over the years. And they think that if I just go here or I just go there, then I'm going to have the right coach. I'm going to have the right training partners. I'm going to be in the right weather, like whatever it is. Yeah. And then I'm going to win. Then I'm going to be a world champion. It's like, sometimes it's not to say that people should never switch teams. Absolutely. There are times where you need to make a change and then that's okay. But usually when it's a bunch of times in a row, it's like, what's the common denominator here? You're always you. Yeah,
I think in the end, like when you join a team, it's like, is that team working towards the same goal?
Right.
Right. Of course, Jiu-Jitsu is a collective sport, but it's still individual, right? So you can be the best team in the world, but if the team's not working together to feed what you need, you're not going to prevail. It does not matter.
Well, and also being honest with yourself. Like, say for example, like I'm at Kendall Jiu Jitsu, right? And I'm training there and I'm like, I'm doing okay. I'm getting bronze. I'm getting silver. Like I'm not really getting to the top of where I want to be. Like I first have to, and then I'm like, oh man, but Sula Jiu Jitsu over there, like they have 5 world champions and they have this and they have that. First I have to check in with me. Like, am I doing everything I could be doing while I'm here? Like, am I checking all the boxes, giving my absolute best? Because if not, then I'm going to take the 80% performance I'm giving and I'm going to take it to Sula Jiu-Jitsu. And then am I going to have different results just because I joined a team that's doing well? Like,
speaking of team, there's one thing that I think Roger and I, we share in our careers. Because first of all, Roger and I, we moved very early away. So first of all, his career, his gold career, my gold career, they were built outside of Brazil, right? I don't know how long before Worlds he would go to there, but he lived in UK for forever that I remember, right? And I've been in Ohio since forever. So my career, it's funny because people say about Brazil, I'm like, I don't even build a career in Brazil.
Right.
My whole career was built in America. And we didn't have that how to say, the human resources.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I remember the first Pan Ams I fought, I trained with a bunch of white belts. But what was the difference? I sat down and said, guys, I need you guys get better at this. I'm going to make you guys better at this so you guys can help me. So I had a lot of, it was funny because I had a lot of students that were great in certain things.
Right.
But they sucked at others, right?
Yeah.
Because in a way I had to like specifically train them to a specific position or a specific strategy to allow me to train. So like I would see a guy, okay, you have long legs, I'll just teach him close guard. But his open guard will suck.
Yeah.
At that moment in time, of course. Yeah. But I had those guys that I built them to perform, to be able to get me and give me training. You know, and this way I was able to train a lot of my defensive skills, specific skills, and my sharpness. Right. So in my precision.
Right. So in this case, I mean, you become that example of that great athlete where it's like you could have put Xande in that year in any room and you were going to succeed because of what you were doing yourself already.
And still all the way up to like my last World Championships. Like if you look at, our team, we're not a big adult competition team. Right. My training partners are like doctors, dentists.
Yeah. And then you have like a couple like Victor, Steve, Philippe.
No, you're talking about modern. I'm talking about back there.
Oh, I thought you meant
growing
now. Okay,
no. Growing now is different. I have people, but now I'm not competing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But it was like professional, regular
even
guys.
A guy like Victor, for example, we don't have anyone his size.
Right.
You know what I mean? So he has to do things differently to still perform the way he should perform. And we do have a big master team.
Yeah.
But it's not like, you look at Dream Art, Alliance, Baja. They have like 3 adults each division. We have like 2 adults in the whole division.
In the whole, in
the
whole tournament.
And I think that's what made my experience, because I was able to prevail with the best athletes in the world, not having the best training partners, like as far as like champions.
So how did that change so you're in Rio, you come to the United States what year?
2002.
2002. And when you came here, you and Saulo came together?
No, I came first.
You came first.
So Saulo got married. I was in Rio, and my mom was like, "Oh, another son is married. Maybe you should move to Brasilia." And then Chris Blanky was the guy that hosted me for the first time. He's like, "Hey, we're looking to get a black belt here," because he was a purple belt at the time. And I remember Cristiano Marcelo went there for a little bit. And I say, "I'll go." And he's like, "What? Like, Saulo gonna send you abroad?" I said, "Oh, he wants to go."
Yeah.
So, because I liked Chris, and I was in Toledo, Ohio. There was nothing there, which now it's Dante's backyard now.
Right. Yeah. I think now it's Dante Leon's there, and it's still not huge for jiu-jitsu, but now it's.
Well, there's a lot of like even our school there, the Badger team, we have like masters, world champions. Like,
wow. But then it was nothing, right?
Yeah. So
at that time.
Yeah, we pretty much built everything, like the whole Saulo Ribeiro Association at the time. I just had a bunch of guys that were like to train and just obey what I had to say. So then I closed my school, like college, and my mom, "Oh, you're gonna come back, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like my plan was to come back. The thing was the experience, right?
Yeah.
But law school is almost lie school, right? Especially in Brazil. It's not about how much you can know, but how much you can deceive, right?
Right.
So now I'm like in Toledo, even though there was nothing there, and also I'm very I think my greatest thing is that I'm a chameleon. I can be anywhere, right? And I'll be comfortable, So literally, I just woke up, work out, taught jiu-jitsu, came back home. That's all I did.
And you're like 21-ish?
21, yeah. So, and of course, dating life was gone. Everything is gone,
Dating jiu-jitsu only.
Yeah, that's all I did. Like, didn't understand the reality of dating in America, how different it was. I was a savage. Next thing I know, I learned that very fast. I didn't know what PDA was and stuff like that. So anyway, and then I'm moving there, and I'm like, whoa, now they invite me for these tournaments. And I'm like, wow, how do I do? I'm saying, okay, I'm just going to work out here, wait to someone get in, I'll put one hand in the belt and grapple them. And I just started to make games. So pretty much my whole training was just making games. But by the time when Saulo took me under his wing, I was a brown belt, and he took me to seminars. we did something very interesting because Hickson used to do that, right? And I remember the first time, like, we're doing that, and he never said anything, right? And that was like, of course, nowadays it's very hard to do that. But, we still have, like, brown belts and purple belts, and there's, like, 35 people in the room. He's like, okay, guys, just get some water. And I'm like, I'm just listening to Sal, right? It's okay, just get some water. You all guys going to stay on the side. Me and my brother going to stay here. You come and train with us. We tap you. You go to the other side of the room. Now, when everybody's gone, you come back. Who did it? We do him. And I'm like,
oh my gosh.
And I'm looking at him after teaching 10 hours of private lessons. Ooh, where I'm the uke, and he's just saying, like, Xande, you cannot escape. Just defend yourself. And those guys were like rubbing their elbows in my face.
Oh my god.
Twist everything they could. Was painful, but that's what molded who I am, right? So yeah, and then I know, like, okay, there's 35 people. How am I gonna tap 35 people?
Yep.
How long should I tap these people? Like,
yeah.
Now I'm like,
I don't even know these people. It's not your training with them.
I didn't know he was going to do that. I had an extra beer last night. I should have cut my beers half, But yeah, it was amazing. And I'm like, oh, I'm tapping the first one. It becomes very spiritual. So I'm like, okay, that's how we do it, right?
Yeah.
And I learned how to not lose positions, because now you're grappling those guys, and some of them, like, they gave their whole life.
For
right?
sure.
Some guys are stupid strong.
For sure.
Some guys would be like just closing like that. Now you're like, okay, I don't want to rub my face on this guy. Now you have to be all gentle still. So I learned how to be precise, be gentle, and it helps a lot. Well, that was like nerve-wracking. We did that for like years.
Yeah.
And I did that until probably 2004, 2005. And I was like, wow. It's time to stop it.
So even though your regular full-time training wasn't with world champions, you were going and doing all these things all year with Salo.
Oh, yeah, we did. Yeah. We did seminars all over.
Yeah.
Still run the academy, teaching.
Right.
Still try to find time for myself.
Yeah.
At the time, there was no that. I was the first guy to have like a webcam, and I was all like the guy from that movie Goonies. I was a Japanese guy. I was like doing selfies, and I'll show you one day. I was doing vlogging when no one was doing it.
Really?
Oh, I had a camera with me all the time. That's this funny story.
We need to pull out the files.
Okay, I have this one. It's so funny. 2001, right? Pan Am's. That was my first attire as a black belt. And they're talking about the best black belt. Well, the best black belts in Rio, they're want to hunt girls and do shit.
Right.
I'm literally just eating ice cream and having fun. Right. I was like, people are like, what the fuck? This guy just won the biggest title in Jiu Jitsu.
Right.
And he's
not even going out. Yeah.
And I'm like, with the camera, what's up, guys? So, man, I'm doing this, with the camera, and And then we're talking about food for some reason.
Yeah.
And then I see Hodger. Like, I knew he was a Gracie, but at the time he was like a blue belt.
Right.
Belt. I know. I was like, yeah, because the diet. And I turned the camera to him and say, what's up, Grandão? So are you going to eat? And I joked to him. I said, are you going to eat hot dogs with sausage? And I'm like making fun. He's like, no, I wouldn't do that. I said, it's the Grace diet. And he's like, yeah, it's the Grace diet.
You need to pull this up. I need to find it.
So it was so funny because I have always done that. I was the guy with the camera all the time, even though I was the guy winning, and stuff like that. So it's been like I said, I just did what I had to do. So in that transition from law school to light school to jiu-jitsu, I was like, wow, I'm making money.
Yeah.
Right? I made money when Sal, of course I was going to go to Sal and Sal to pay me. It's like, okay, here, 10%, 20% of the profits, whatever, and I'm like, wow, and I went to Brazil for the first time, and I have like $1,000, which in Brazil was like at the time 4,000 reais.
Right.
But it's not 4,000 reais that's today, right? We go to sushi in Brazil today and eat like 5 nigiris, that's 100 reais. Back in the day, you could have porcão barbecue for 40 reais.
You're
so the real bought a lot.
Yeah.
I would get like an açaí and a sandwich for 10 reais. Now an açaí, 10 ounces is 10 reais. I was like, wow, that's so good that I can I'm the whole vacation here and having to ask my parents any money.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, and the only thing I had to do.
You felt that sense of independence just from jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, but more than that was just like, I just have to be myself. I just have to work on me. I just have to teach good jiu-jitsu, make it fun, make it entertaining, bring value to it. And I don't have to say one lie. I don't have to to do anything.
Rather than thinking about law school, and it's like you're going to have to trick your way through life.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to tell my mom. I don't think I'm coming back to school.
Gonna break her heart.
And then, but like, it took a while for her. But the thing about my mom, like, she always complained. But when push comes to shove, she was the one shoving it. Like, she was the one, like, I remember for Worlds. No, I think it was on Pan Am's 1999, because I fought 98 in Hawaii. That was my first trip ever to America, and I'm in Hawaii.
Wow.
With all those black
lucky.
belts, the Inoue brothers fighting. I was like, holy shit.
So
you know,
good.
it was the first, like, Sal's brother appearance.
Mm.
Like, internationally, you know, I'm seeing all these guys and Helson and Hicks. And I was like, oh my God, Hawaii. Everyone's going to the club, and I'm using my brothers. I did go to the club. Like, I'm speaking English, you know, all this fun stuff. And then the other one, I had to renew my visa. And my mom, I remember my mom being sick, and I'm crying. And she's like, and she just next day said, where are you going, Mom? I say, oh, I'm going to Rio to get your visa. I was like, like, you know. So she always, like, because she just wants us to be happy, for sure. But she had that idea. Grow up, get a diploma, you know what I mean? Do this, do that, you know? So that's how it started, you know? And then, we did all that. And then Saulo ended up divorcing a couple of years after that. That's when, so in 2004, which is a funny story, not a funny story. When I fought at ADCC 03, I had an infection on my shin. I had cellulitis. I almost lost my leg. I had, like, you know, like when your little pinky, like, cuts, you know, the cuts under your
paper cut. Oh, a blister.
You know, like, yeah, we know, like,
callus.
Atlas, I don't know if it's Atlas foot, but you know, like when your pinky, like, it opens a cut underneath. So we're training, and then of course the gym shower is nasty. So I shower, and then I was like, man, this thing is bugging me, right? Like, oh, and then I put some thing on it, and then the day after I trained, and I had chin splits.
Oh.
So I think that all the chin splits, the internal bleeding, and the bacteria, so all that. And then one day I finished, and then I went to work out for conditioning for ADCC 2003.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, this is a pain. And that thing just started to grow. Like, is that like a little fungal? Like, what's that?
Yeah.
And then I went to Maresias to do my sponsor with Bad Boy. At the time I was sponsored by Bad Boy. And the thing is growing, is inflamed. Anyway, it's a nasty story. So I didn't have insurance, so I used Saulo's insurance. And the guy say, well, the only way you can fight is by draining it. So the guy cut my leg without anesthesia, because the anesthesia would take it. And the funny thing, he would say, like, calm down, Saulo, calm down. I'm like,
I'm not Saulo.
So yeah, if you look at those tapes, I have a shin brace.
Oh God.
So I would fight, walk out, go to the doctor, and I would unwrap my thing. Blood would come out. I had 2 holes on my leg from the how they call drainage.
Pus?
Pull back on.
Yeah,
because the pus, it was more blood at the time. Nobody knew it, so I fought the guy that did a lot of leg locks back in the day. Shit, I forgot his name.
Which one of the guys that did leg
He's
locks?
like the old school first guy that ever did foot locks. Anyway, I remember his name.
Oh, yeah.
And then I fought Dean Lister.
Okay.
And then another thing too, if you want to win ADCC, just lose to me. That's another story on that too.
That's the secret. Win ADCC?
Well, Dean Lister lost to me and won Open that year. He was in the stands with those 2 girls, and he walks by me and say, hey, are you not doing the Open? I'm like, no. Oh, I'm going to do it because I'm next after you. That's what happened. So then I lost. I beat him, and then I lost to Cacareco. Cacareco took my foot, my fucked up foot, and I found out later that he said, I don't give a fuck, I'm gonna go his foot, which pissed me off too, because we're talking about if we got the finals, we would like split the money. So he's all friendly, but time to fucking rip my foot apart, he did. So and then I ended up losing to Roger on the 3rd place match, right? So then all that happened, and then of course. And it go on. And then I stayed in Brazil. I have a part of my family, they own this huge company. And I was just depressed. I gained a shitload of weight, started to smoke cigarettes, 1 bottle of whiskey a day, going to the club. I had all this money from sponsors. I spent all my money. Big belly, you know, already like I literally would smoke 1 pack of cigarette a day.
This was when 2004,
2003,
or like right after ADCC.
Yeah, and then I came back, and then I was like, "Fuck this."
And you were in Ohio still?
I was in Ohio still. I had to go all those doctors. I went to like people that are spiritual healers and shit.
Mhm.
I was just very depressed. Not depressed. I was like, fuck this. I'm not going to do jiu-jitsu anymore. First, these people
Mm.
have no character. I don't want this. Plus, I had my family like, oh, you're going to give you this job. They're going to make, $500,000 a
Oh.
year. And I'm like, okay, what do I do? What do I do?
Yeah.
And then one day, Saul called me, hey, don't do that. Don't lose the respect for the family. We still can do this. You still can do it. Come on, bro. And then that day, I shut off and I had I just bought a big pack of like a bunch of cigarettes. I'm like, no, fuck this. I threw that away. I threw everything away, put my shoes on, and I ran for like 10 miles.
Oh my
doing
gosh.
pull-ups, and I went crazy. And then I told my dad, hey, I don't have insurance. I had this situation with my leg.
How did you run with your leg like that?
I could care less at the
Just
point.
sheer will.
I still sometimes, if I kick very hard, I get like this psychological pain. It's just because like I'm always holding, but that's okay. I can kick, I can do whatever. Was like 3 months after ADCC already.
Okay.
So I beat Manaus. They had like all these spiritual healers and all that. And then I came back to Brazil. And I told my dad, hey, you never gave me a car. I know I don't deserve it, but can I get the money because I don't have money? It's like, okay, we help you. Is that what you want to do? So yeah, so I moved
Because
to
you were
Rio.
just really like, I mean, the question was like, can I get back on my feet? Like, I need some support to get back on my feet.
I wanted to know if that's what I really wanted to do.
Okay.
At that point. Because now, I'm a 2-time Pan-American champion. I fought ADCC. Now I see the guys that I did very well against, winning Worlds 2003.
Right.
I lost to Worlds 2002 because I hurt my knee. So I lost to Pejpan in the semifinal. So now I'm talking about my second world championship as a black belt. I'm smashing everybody.
Yeah.
And I lost to Pejpan, which was one of the greatest, for like 2 points. I'm
Right.
like, yeah, I'm going to win the Worlds.
Right.
And then my second fight, I popped my knee for the guy that ended up winning, which was Jefferson.
Right.
And then Jefferson wins again in the year after. I'm like,
yep.
I could be a 3-time world champ by that point. I'm like, okay, I'm going to see if that's for me. Funny story, right? So now I'm back.
Really
I'm
funny.
back, and I said, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm still training, but like figuring it out. So my mom goes, rents me an apartment in Rio. I was right by Nova União. So I get to Rio. So I fly from America. I get to Rio, right? And there's nothing in my apartment. But there's a tournament in Búzios.
There's a what?
Búzios, like a city by Rio.
Oh, okay.
That's my welcome back.
Oh, okay.
That's my welcome back tournament. From being
ADCC,
for being ADCC, it was like 7 months later, for being depressed, wanted to quit jiu-jitsu, smoking packs of cigarettes, drinking a bunch of whiskey, which I even don't like whiskey. So anyway, I get a bus. I get in, put my stuff in the apartment. I check the apartment, everything's here, grab my stuff, and I get a bus to Búzios.
Okay.
I don't know what happened. They put me in this crazy the guy didn't have a hotel. That time wasn't like today, right? So I said,
Right.
I said, hey, do you have a place for me? So I stayed in this little place. It was like a hostel that was actually closed. And that was just one person. So I'm watching TV and I start to feel sick.
Oh my gosh.
And I start to shrivel. Like literally, I start to the worst day of my life. I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, literally, like it's hot. And I'm like
shivering,
like, and watching TV. I was like, oh, fuck. And I couldn't go out because I didn't know there was nothing. Like I was in the middle of this thing that like, for me to go to like a drugstore and even know what it is, there's no GPS. I'm like, I'm just going to suffer my way into this. And now I'm feeling my stomach all weird. Okay. Funny story. I'm like,
these are really funny stories.
I'm like this. I'm like, fuck, I'm not going to compete. And I needed the money because I'm going to make the money. And the tournament was actually Lagarto in the tournament. I made the final with Lagarto.
Lagarto was in the tournament?
So
oh my
was
gosh.
Lagarto, Pejipano. There was a lot of good guys in the tournament.
I thought it was just some small town tournament.
No, like, those guys were like, Pejipano got upset because he was in my bracket. He felt his bracket, so he pulled out. That was actually good. And then Lagarto made the final because they said there's no teammates. But they put Lagarto and Pejipano on the same side. And that's why he got upset.
Okay.
But still, I'm fighting Lagarto.
Yeah.
But that's not the best part of the story. So I'm shivering and I'm like, what am I doing? Like, and I'm talking to myself like, should I have to get back to this? Like, I could be just sitting in the office,
Maybe
50 grand a month, 50 grand a month. That sounds so good.
Right.
As I'm thinking, I look over my shoulder. There's a freaking cockroach in my shoulder. And I'm like kicking the cockroach. I'm like, fuck this. And I'm like, ooh. So anyway, I run to the bathroom.
Oh my God.
All right. Poltergeist. The movie.
Yep.
Now you're talking about the whole bathroom.
My God.
Full of Xandes. I was like, and I'm like, first I missed the whole thing. right? And then I looked at it, and I'm like, the toilet. I had to flush the toilet. I was like, how this thing's inside of me?
Yeah.
Now there's nobody to clean it. So now I'm 3 a.m. cleaning
You're
my
there
own
alone,
puke.
yeah.
And I'm like smelling like this. I'm like, oh, what am I doing? And the guy like, hey, you gotta remember, you gotta leave at 12. I was like, okay.
Oh my gosh.
And the tournament was like at night. So now I wake up. I don't know what to eat.
Yeah.
I don't know who to call. I don't have a phone. You know, what am I gonna do? So I'm literally in my backpack. Sun is going crazy, and I'm like, you know those movies when the guy is on the desert and he's seeing 3 things. So I go to this thing. I'm like, what am I gonna eat? There's nothing to eat. I don't eat food. And I got a juice. You know, and I'm just like, oh my god, I'm feeling sick still. Like, oh my goodness. And I ate something, and I'm like, what am I gonna do? There's like 6 hours.
Yeah.
So I see this hammock store. And I
hammock store.
Yeah, and I walked to the lady. I say, lady, here's what's gonna happen. She's like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm not okay.
Oh,
look, this is my ID.
I am not okay.
I'm not a gangster, but I really need to lay down. I swear I was gonna literally pass out in the middle of the street, and that all happened. So she allowed me to. I say, okay, there's a little thing on the corner over there. Just lay down over there.
Oh my gosh! In the store.
If someone shows up, you just stand up. And like my boss, I don't know. She was super cool.
Wow.
I wish one day I could know where she is. So I end up sleeping for a little bit, and also I was waiting for my coaches, so I have no coaches at all. So now I'm like, okay, I gotta go for this.
Right.
So I get there, and I'm like, okay, I'm not feeling sick, and I'm still like, I went to the bathroom, and now it's coming out of the mouth, coming out of all holes in my body, and I'm like, oh my god, what am I doing? So I'm trying to act okay, you know, drinking Coca-Cola.
Oh my god.
I was like, all right, I go in the bathroom, but Fredson gets here. I'm like, finally, Fredson is here. So anyway, first fight. You know what I mean? I'm puking in my mouth.
Ew.
All that stuff, and I beat the first guy, beat the second guy. Now it's Lagarto and I. It's dark.
Oh my god.
And there's like sand on the mats, and Lagarto's coming after me like crazy. And I'm like,
he's so big too.
And I'm like, so I tried to go there, and I score a point on him. I was like, okay, please, just end this. I was like, you know what? If I lose, it'll be okay. It's $1,000. I can't buy my bed because I wanted to buy my bed. So I'm not going to spend my money. I'm going to make that money. And I'm going to buy my stuff for my house.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was like, is this for me? Right? And then they blow the whistle, and I'm like,
I'm going to die.
And I'm like, yeah, and the guy, interview. Oh, yeah, it was a very good fight. Oh, man, Lagarde's amazing. And they say, Fredson, get my money, Fredson. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Get my money.
So I'm like, and people are like, oh, yeah, we're partying. And Fepa's like, oh, let's party. I'm like, And I'm literally like this, like,
wow.
And I say, Fred, let's go. So I got out of the thing, make a right, make a left, and then another alien came out of my body.
Oh.
So I lay down in the car, and I went to my buddy's mom's house, and then she gave me a bunch of like stuff.
Medicine, yeah.
And I'm like all the way driving back to Rio just to get home and not having a bed in my house.
Oh,
and I'm sleeping on the floor. And I was like, you know what? It's okay. Yeah. At least I have a house, an apartment.
I have a roof.
So I put a bunch of clothes and made myself a bed, and I laid down, and I'm like, is this really for me? Now I'm like literally thinking, like, is this a test? Like, I almost lost my leg.
Yeah.
Now the first tournament back, I fight these badass dudes. I never puked and swallowed it. And like, is this for me?
Right.
So then a couple of days later, I'm feeling better, and I went shopping and all that. And then I win the Brasileiro weight in Absolute, and I win my first world. So I'm like, okay, that's for me.
Back to back.
That's for me. And then my brother goes like, hey, we found a lawyer. That was a good part of it, right?
Yeah.
And then, I win worlds. I end up losing to Jacare, which I never lost to him. He knows that. The semifinals. But if I haven't lost to Jacare, I think the whole Roger Jacare would never happen because I lost to him the semifinal. And then he broke his arm in the final.
Right.
And I had the referee yelled at me like, why you didn't celebrate it? I'm like, what do you mean? You should have celebrated. If you have celebrated, I would have given to you. Because I know you won't. I'm like,
and the referee's decision.
So do I have to do like X?
The ref really said that if you would have celebrated, he would have given you the decision.
Man, why did you celebrate? You know how hard it is, man. He has the whole jacare on you. I'm
Oh
like,
my gosh.
bro, I was like this. What else do you want me to do?
If you
Like,
just
if you
would
know
have
I
done
won't.
a dance, then we could have. So, man, when you think about how IBJJF is today, do you think we still have those issues with like celebrating and picking teammates, or how is it with the rest decision these
this still
days?
happens.
Yeah.
Oh, totally still happens. There's so many bias still, you know what I mean? People
what's the solution there? I mean, I know a lot of people. I'm not an IBJJF hater personally, which I think is important to say because a lot of people are very, very anti-IBJJF. I think IBJJF's done something for jiu-jitsu that nobody else has. But at the same time, every organization, even the great ones, does have issues that can be addressed. So what do we do there?
I think first we have to change the rules a little bit. You know what I mean? I think it's too subjective. I always tell the referees, I hate you guys, but I respect what you guys do because there's so much room for interpretation.
Yes.
It's ridiculous, right? There are situations that, like, I think, like, the problem is not ABJF. Everybody talks about, like, they're doing their job. Yeah. Like, nobody knows how much it costs to run the whole thing. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Oh, they make those millions and millions. Like, well, like, great for them. They did a good job. And we do have a sport because of it. Not because of it, but, like, you know, it's part of it.
I mean, we went from one year to the next when they exploded from having like a couple of tournaments to like a tournament in every major city, like back to back and having a circuit. And man, in those days, like my mom used to tell me about this, which is why I even know because I was so young. She would say like, man, in those days, they would pop up these tournaments and no one would come. Yeah. It was almost empty. And it's like they lost so much, but they kept pouring and pouring and pouring in to build what we have. And now it's like people are upset that they have a successful model, but they're a business. They should. That's a good thing.
Yeah, for me, business is like, it's what you bring to the table. And that's what it is, right? It's not a spectator. Oh, there's no spectator. It's not a spectator tournament either.
Right.
You know, it's a competitor tournament, right? There's no such things as like, oh, you know, there's nobody there. I think maybe they could invest a little more in marketing. You know, they could, like, you know, pump us up a little more. They could change worlds. Find like world's black belts to like Friday and Saturday. I always told them, like, who are we champions for? Nobody. Like, I remember when I won my worlds, nobody would know until 2 weeks later.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, we had to wait the magazine, maybe some forums. Nobody knows.
You know what I love now is they changed their social media. I think maybe around a year ago or something. But now they're doing really well. They got
but still, not just them, just ourselves. And now you have like all the social media things. Like literally, you know, like people would have know I beat Harsher like 5 minutes later. You know what I mean? I would have like, you know, 1 million followers by now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But back in the day, there was no such things like that. But the only thing I tell them is there's a couple of things on the rules that it should change. You know, as far as like the way 50-50 works.
Yeah.
The whole thing of like single leg from a guard pass, lapella 50, like how to like, you know, if the people are really trying to go for technique, you know, there's like stuff like that, right?
Or in the just the stalling rules in general.
Yeah, too, like, and also I think the only thing that referee should worry about if there's an intention. For example, if you look at Vitor Hugo's fight and Felipe's fight, there was no attempt for passing the guards. You know what I mean? Literally in 10 minutes, you try it 3 times. For me, that's a huge toll. ADCC, if your foot step backwards 3 times, you're gonna get a warning.
Right.
So you have to be engaged, not touched. So there's also reading the intention, you know, it's because the referees, they have to subjectively analyze so much. Like a simple thing. If you cross the knee and make me go all fours and I take you down, it's not points for me because you made me turn to my knees. Like, it does not matter. I'm still on the bottom, I'm on the top.
Yeah.
Like, why do you have to give you one more interpretation for the referees?
Right.
It makes no sense for me.
Right.
You know, like in 50-50s and things like that. So, I just think, like, as far as like that, I think the fighters have to change their mind. You know what I mean? Like, there's no perfect rule. Like,
that's
we're
a
gonna
good
do perfect
point,
rule. Like, EBI is the best rules. Well, we saw yesterday Nicky Rod just rided the fight for 20 minutes, not to get caught, to go to overtime, and then, that happens, you know.
Every rule set, there's ways to work around.
There's always submission like only. Do I like it? Game. In a way, I do, but also I don't. Depends on the style.
Yeah.
Styles make matches.
Right.
You can have the best rule system on your mind. It's still gonna suck.
Yeah.
If there's not that urge to like
do styles stuff. And athletes make matches.
Yeah, you know, like for example, when I always talk about my guys, like for me, the only grip that matters is hand and collar. Look at the only guy that I can say is Marigali. the only active guy that say, okay, that guy goes for things.
Mm.
Like you look at his rate of omoplatas, triangles. You know what I mean? Like sweeping is a consequence. When I started jiu-jitsu, there are something called combatividade. So if you look at the thing, there was combatividade and vantagem, like advantages. The only thing that counted was combatividade, like was about the submission hold, not like a simple little bullshit that happens.
Right,
you know?
right.
So
you mean advantage point, just so it's clear for people listening. Advantages only would count for when you're attacking a submission, not like I almost swept.
Yeah, which you call it advantage nowadays. Back in the days, it's called combatividade,
Right,
combativeness. You know what I mean? And nobody really did advantage. Like, because now the only thing that counts is if there's a submission involved.
Right.
Now if I whistle and you fall, that's advantage, and then you can literally ride that advantage for a long time.
Yes.
You know, so I think that's a problem. I say, okay, let's limit certain guards. Like when I talk about like even like in a law, like in a law system, like okay, why are laws are created? Okay, there is some sort of violation that we don't agree that's happening. Okay, let's address that issue. So how are we going to start people from doing lapella 50? Okay. If you get to 50-50 and do lapella 50, you have 30 seconds to accomplish your goal.
Right. And
I always told the guys, you want people to stop doing that? Just say that sweeping from 50-50 is only points if you get out. Otherwise, it's still 50-50.
Right.
It's
right.
50.
50.
It's not 100.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that would help a lot, in my opinion.
That is,
you know what I mean? And things like that, you know, but it is what it is. I know we love this.
I mean, they introduced the leg locks, like that changed a lot of the no-gi game IBJJF. So I think IBJJF is always looking for those changes.
Yeah, I even told them you should allow purple belts to do it too.
Yeah,
blue belts, I think they're still too raw. I think like I said, you can get like a brand new white belt going to blue, and then they got caught in that environment. That could be bad. But I think a purple belt, you already have a game, right? You already have like an understanding. You already have a lot. You know, like I said, the purple belt is just a young black belt.
Yeah.
I think purple belts, they should as allowed, but not with the gi. Some people say, oh, you should allow
in the gi.
The gi. No. You should just make sure if you're 50-50, you can only score points if you get out of it.
I like that.
Like even an advantage for double guard pull. But
right.
like, why are you giving advantage for the guy to do their job?
To come up.
He didn't do anything. It was just his job to actually come up to the top. For me, the best rule system for the double guard pull is when the guy disqualified Paulo and Keenan. And I really thought that was going to be, we call it in law, it's like jurisprudencia. Like when something happens and a law is applied, we repeat that law. You know, like when they say cases, you know. And
I guess that's a precedent.
Precedent, yeah. It's called precedent. You know, and I thought that was going to actually be a huge thing. You know, to be about.
That it would change some of the decisions.
Just punishing both.
Right.
I think that's what it should be.
Right.
You know, like little things like that. How many fights you've seen that the guy won because of that one advantage?
Yeah, because of the double guard pull advantage.
Yeah,
right.
He didn't do anything. And then they're so good and act like they're doing something. So, anyway, here we are. Still fighting for this.
Switching gears a little bit. So, how old is your daughter right now?
She's 13.
13. Okay, so when you look at your life, okay, you've had a big, busy life in so many different countries and traveling and teaching seminars, and it's interesting when you look at athletes with different lifestyles, because you're an athlete who's had a lifestyle as an athlete, a coach, a teacher of seminars, you have instructionals, you have your school now, you have your association, you're coaching other high-level athletes, right? So when you look at your highlights, like a highlight reel, what are you most excited to tell her the stories of, or to tell your grandkids the stories of? Like, what comes to mind, like, this is one of my memories that I want people to remember before?
I think I heard to understand how much I work hard and how much I could change people's life through just being honest. You know what I mean? I don't think. And she's so naive that some people are like, oh, your dad is a goat. Like, what do you mean? Like, she's still very like.
He's just dad.
He's just dad. As far as I know, he's at home eating chocolate in the couch. You know what I mean? He's asking me to brew him coffee. I don't know. I think I want her to take out of it that, I know it sounds weird, but like, it does not matter everything that I've done if I'm not a champion in life. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I want her to understand. Like, I want her to understand, wow, my dad is all that, but he's always been, this goofy, respectful man.
Right.
You know what I mean? That made sure my life was well lived. Of course, I want her to understand what I fought for.
Yeah.
Like, Lovato, you know, like she's going to Japan with me.
Oh.
You know what I mean? She's super excited. And I think she's all worried about what should I dress? Because you said that the event is super spiritual. Because it's going to be at the Sumo Palace.
Yeah.
Which is the number one sport in Japan. And the fight's going to be there. And now she's all worried, like, should I dress something like more formal?
More fancy,
like she's so worried now because, like, I don't want to look bad. Like, you know? Because she's like, wow, you know, she did understand as far as like even the academy, you know, now she goes to academy, she's a leader in the academy.
Yeah.
You know, she loves, and I tell her, hey, when a new girl comes in, make sure you get out of your friends, stop being goofy, say, hey, you know, I'm Victoria.
What does she think about being like the school owner's daughter, the professor's daughter?
She makes sure she doesn't want people to tell that to people.
Oh,
you know
interesting.
I mean? Like some people don't even know she's my daughter. Like sometimes like Joseph, it's when some parents look at me because I'm like, I grab her, kiss her,
yeah.
like she's like, and people are like, why is he doing that with the girl? You know what I mean? And I say daughter, and then I say daughter. She's like, what, dad? And I I can see like some eyes like, why is he squeezing the girl? You know? In the beginning she was like, is that all mine?
Oh,
is that yours?
Like the palace, you know?
Yeah. She's like, is that gonna be in your will? I'm like, no, it's in the contract. Not in my will yet. You know, and things like that. And then she sees people with the logo and she's like, oh wow, you know, and she people come and talk to her. So she's still like very shy about it. Because like I said, I never made a big deal out of it. You know what I mean? And I always made sure I didn't force her to do it. There was a time in her life when she lived with her mom and I'll be away and she blamed Jiu Jitsu. She's like, I don't like Jiu Jitsu, Dad. I'm like, oh, that broke my heart. I said, why not? I said, well, Jiu Jitsu's taking me away from you. I was like, no, it's not like that, you know, but do you like your computer? She's like, yeah, well, Jiu Jitsu gave you that. You know, so I had to like go into those little things like to make her understand that's like, hey, some things have to be done for me to like give you the life that you deserve. And it's going to be a day that we're going to do this together. You know what I mean? And we done, like, she lived in Bali with her mom, and I went and visited her. She's been in Brazil. She's been in Hawaii. She's going to Japan now and experience something that no kid going to experience at all. She's going to, you know, in the Japanese people, they look at you like, oh, my God. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I told her, hey, just don't laugh. You know, she thinks it's funny. She thinks it's funny when people take pictures with me. She's like, I just think it's so funny that people want to take pictures with you. She goes like that. It's just her personality.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I just wanted her to know that I've done everything that I could have done in a place of honesty, you know, in a place of love, you know, because to do jiu-jitsu when we did it is a lot of love.
Yeah.
Because there was no money, there was no recognition at all.
No fame.
Nothing, you know what I mean? Things like that. I remember the first time I took a picture, I was like, wow. This is like, you know, even my first class, I'm like, okay, guys, run. Oh shit, they're running.
They're gonna listen to me.
Yeah, it's like, okay, guys, push up. I'm like, oh, how do you call it? Like some sad? How do you call it?
Sad?
Like the thing like there's a game like Simon Says. I was like, wow, this is unbelievable. Like, okay, guys. Crunches, you know, like it was very interesting. I was like, wow, like whoa, I need to control these people.
Yeah.
You know, so
stepping into leadership.
You know, so for her, like just understanding that, I think if she understand that I was honest what I did, and I did in a place of love, and that's what I want her to get it. She did Google me one time.
Oh my god,
super interesting. She's like, Dad, so what? What's paper cutter?
What's paper cutter?
Paper cutter? Like, it's like to cut paper. No, the paper cutter choke. I was like, oh yeah, it's a choke that would you teach me that? I'm like, yeah, but why paper cutter? It's saying here in your bio that you have one submission with a paper cutter. I was like, what else you see? Well, you have like 35% arm locks. Would you teach me all that? I'm like, yes.
That is the coolest. Is there anything on Google that you don't want her to see? You have bad internet press?
No, there's nothing there.
Not yet.
My life is open book. I you gotta like me or who I am, you know. Like I said, I'm this, you know. Like you when we reconnected after, you know, of course we meet. You know, I don't change. I do believe people always gonna respect who I am. Doesn't matter the intimacy that I may give you and stuff like that. You know what I mean? If they lose their respect, they lose their respect for themselves. That means they don't understand. Like I said, like when I go to tournaments, even like the old school guys, like I show so much respect that I feel like, what's going this
Some
guy.
tenseness.
Like, hey,
Yeah, some
sensei,
tension.
I bow, I shake their hands, and boom. It's just like that. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like I said, just be true to yourself, do what your soul, and karma will take care of the rest.
I like that. What about, when you think, you told us that crazy story of, what's the city name again?
Búzios.
Búzios.
Chapa, you gotta take her to Búzios.
You heard him. So in that city, you told us the whole story of that. That was a very dark moment, right? When you think about, like, I like to ask this question a lot. If you look back on your life and think about it,
darker than that.
Yeah, we're gonna
darker than that
but specifically though,
Jiu-Jitsu. No,
hold
Jiu-Jitsu.
on, now we're just gonna get crazy.
Jiu-Jitsu. Darker than that.
Dark that led to light that you wouldn't change.
No. I'm just gonna tell a funny thing. She said like that was a dark time in my life. The darkness was watching whoever Marcelo Garcia was fighting before he fought me, and the guy face of panic. Because when Marcelo went to his back, and I was like scared shitless because Marcelo was smashing everybody, and I'm like waiting for him to the final. Yeah, and I just look at the dude's eyes, man. I was like, wow, I never see a big, strong man like that look that fearful, and that really got me. I was like, oh my god, I'm scared. Like I wasn't scared to fight Marcelo. Wow. And then I jump guard and swap him right away. I was like, okay, Marcelo, now you're 4 points behind. Yeah. Deal with this. Anyway, so that was the darkest part for sure. Watching that little guy just like. Okay, here you go. So we got to talk about all the darkness now, because now another dark time, but a dark time in your life that led to light. Something that you look back and you're like, man, during this time it was so hard, but I wouldn't change any of it because here's like what I got from it or what I learned. It's funny. I mentioned this to Steve earlier. He goes, all of them, all of the moments. Like I think the darkness, like I said, like depression and going through that thing
after ADCC, the loss,
the ADCC thing, and then
even not in just jiu-jitsu, like just in general,
like the 2014, they passed on my mom, and then I fought the Brasileiro right after that, and I thought about retiring that because I told myself if I ever get hurt, I think I'm the guy that got hurt the most on the mat. Like, okay, guys, let's make that. If someone got hurt more than me, let me know, because I can count just at least 5 or 6 times that I had to walk out of the mat. Wow, because I was injured. Well, ADCC 2009, $40,000 to Braulio. Brasileiro that I didn't fight Pena. I popped my groin. Well, 2007, Braulio again. My knee. Jefferson, my knee. You know what I mean? Anyway. So, I don't think there's like dark moments, because I believe that everything we go through is to teach us something, right? So the life is teach yourself. I think depression and things like that are very dark. I had moments like in signs, like signals that really made me see life with a different perspective. You know what I mean? Like I said, when my mom passed, I had to go through that. And then that was dark. You know, like, do I have the power to go back? And I end up winning worlds the year after, and things like that.
Why do you think you were able to do that? Like, if you're to go from, I don't know if I can go back, to then winning the world championships.
I don't know. It's just a team behind me, my brother, my Will, and I just knew that she wanted that to me. And I was, hey, just do it. And I was like, okay, I'll do one more. And then I end up, going.
That's the story of your life. One more. I'll just do one more.
One more, yeah. Now I'm glad. But I think like one of the there's all those moments of little things that people tell you, and I learned very early. I think, of course, I still went through some maybe egocentric moments or things like that. So, for example, I remember, like I said, the guy didn't even know me. Like, I was just Saulo's brother, right? When I won my first Worlds, so this guy walks in, he's like, oh, it's an honor for me to fight you. I'm like, so, okay.
Yeah, what a thing to say.
What is this guy talking about? Like, I'm an 18-year-old guy from Manaus that just got here. You know what I mean? And also in the same tournament, I kind of did something weird too. Like, because Ricardo Bastos would beat everyone from our school. And I was starting to make friends with Terere, and I think Terere poked me, and I kind of bought it because, Ricardo said he was going to put we call it down gnaw, knot you in the mat. I'm like, no, he will not.
Like turn you into a pretzel?
Yeah. So I ended up beating Ricardo, and I laugh, and then I was like, I mount him, I laugh for the picture, and that's and then Saulo got upset at me because of that. Oh, you're a fucking clown, don't do that.
You're a clown.
So anyway, and then the guy oh, it's an honor for me. I said, okay, go back, beat this guy, and then you deal with this, because he can be like, oh, he's the owner, but fuck this guy.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, and then I'm like just looking at my surroundings right after I won, and my brother walks in and he wins too, and I'm like, wow, I really have to watch out, like who I am, but it has to be genuine. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that was the
yeah.
first moment that I'm like, I may have a responsibility here that I don't know.
Who do I want to be? Yeah, I didn't realize.
Now, like, I'm going to like, who am I? Where I'm coming from? You know,
Yeah,
like all those questions. I'm like 18 years old.
That's
like,
very young for
and
that.
nobody ever say, "Oh, it's an honor for me to fight you." I'm like, who am I? Like, what does this represent? So I had no clue what that represented. You know, so that was one of them.
Well, it's a big responsibility in those moments too, because I think it's a privilege to just kind of run around and do whatever you want because it's what I want to do, what you want to do. And then if you really do start to take it seriously, like, wow, I'm affecting people more than I thought, or people are watching, they're copying, they're being influenced. Whether you like it or not, you're now a role model. And that's a really interesting topic, because people will say like, well, I didn't want to be a role model, I just want to be an athlete. And it's like, well, you don't really get to choose that. If you're choosing this lifestyle, it doesn't mean you have to go be Jesus. But you are actively making an intentional choice while knowing and not pretending that you don't know that people are watching.
Yeah. Like you know, like I tell my guys, hey, I may say a cuss word here. Well, if you don't hear from me, you're gonna hear on YouTube, so it doesn't matter, right? So and
or just this is how I conduct myself, and you should know. And if you align with this, amazing. If this is gonna bother you, it might not be the person for you to be around.
Exactly,
and that's okay too.
Yeah. So and I try to make that genuine. Right? Sometimes people are like, oh, I want to be this way because I get likes. I gotta be this way because I do this. I say, look, this is who I am, and I'm gonna, you know, honor my family,
right?
You know, the education that I received at home, and I'm gonna pass that,
right?
You know, and I'm gonna learn I'm still gonna learn a lot,
right?
And then that was honor, and then there's deserving and take life as it is. So in 2002, I think that's one of the biggest ones, because even though I got hurt a lot, well, I got hurt when I was a brown belt. That was Bruno Bastos jumping guard on me and I popped my knee. I didn't walk out of the mat, but I still lost. So that was my first injury. So that's how I started as a brown belt.
That was the start of the end.
And in 2002, I popped my knee with Jefferson. So 2002, I was in super good shape. I won Pan Ams. I was like killing it. You know, I was like super good shape, and they choose me to fight the open, and now I'm fighting the open. I'm beating all these guys, and I lost to Pedro, which is like, wow, I'm like literally the top of the apex. And I'm like, you're gonna win my first worlds. You know? And I was like so much into myself on that one. And then, you know, first fight. So the funny, because they get a video. So Saulo is fighting at the same time, and Jefferson had a lot of heave on me. And then I was just holding it and look up. Right, and as soon as I look down, he throws a deep de la Riva that pops my knee.
Oh, but you were looking up at Saulo, is what you're saying?
No, like I just like Saulo was there, and then I just went like this and like that, right? But wouldn't make no difference. I'm just making the story a little bit more romantic, I think. And then he deep de la Rivas me, and it just twists my knee. It's like, oh, I couldn't do it, and I'm so sorry. And Jefferson was so sorry for that. I was like, no, it's okay. I tried to move. I can't move. I said, I can't fight. But now I'm like into this selfish moment that I was like, that's fucked up, you know, like I shouldn't have done this. I deserve to win. I don't deserve this. And I stopped to telling myself how it was unfair.
I see.
How it was unfair to me.
Putting yourself in the narrative, like making it deeper.
Yeah, like what is that? And then Saul sees me crying and say, oh, stop crying. Come over. And then, you know, I'm going up the stairs. As I'm going up the stairs, I still think that was the longest 1 second of my life. So there's this guy seated on the stairs. He looks at me. I look at him. I look at him. He looks at me. And his eyes to me was like, oh, fuck, Xande, I'm so sorry for you.
Like pity.
Yeah. He moves away. He had no legs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I looked at that. I was like, stop.
Shocked you.
Like, literally, like, I can fucking walk. I can walk. And I'm like, but I can walk. Like, right away, tears went away. And then I sat down with Fred. Are you okay? You're okay? I said, bro, you don't believe what happened. I said, what happened? Dude, I was this fucking thing in my mind. Like, now I'm like, I'm this thing in my mind there. Like, I didn't deserve this. But, like, look at the motherfucker over there.
Right.
Like,
Perspective.
You know what I mean? Like, he's on a skateboard and he's happy, and then he didn't have his legs, and I have
Right.
my legs, and why am I complaining about it? He's like,
Right.
he's like, you're not upset you lost? I'm like, I'm upset I'm an asshole.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like what
Stop
is,
feeling sorry for myself.
yeah,
The
what is
perspective.
bad really? Like, what is bad? Like, I still have my legs, I still can do what I do.
Yes.
And then of course, 6 months after that, I got my infection.
Mm.
And then I guess darkness just kind of went through that thing, getting injury and going through that process. And then when that happened to me, I was like, you know what? It is what it is. Literally, I'm about to lose my leg, and I'm like, it is what it is.
Wow.
You know, I got depressed more like, oh, fuck jiu-jitsu. I was just like, you know, people in jiu-jitsu are stupid. You know, I have honor. You know, I want to do something else. I'm just gonna get drunk and get girls and spend money and eat cigarettes. You know, and that's how it goes. You know, and those are the lessons that I think that I still learn a lot with that. You know, even this weekend there was a lot of lessons there, and I'm glad that I have the team that I do. You know, and I always check on them and say, guys, you know, this happened, and what you guys should do. You guys think I acted well with that? You know, even the whole Merigali situation with Victor, you know what I mean? I say, man.
Well, and just to clarify too, because whenever this comes out for this past week in the Nogi Worlds, we had like the controversial situation of people not showing up to the podium. So Victor Hugo's on the third place with who was it? Was it Roosevelt? He was
Roosevelt,
with third, and then the first and the second, or really not the first and the second, the supposed final. They were supposed to be finalists. They didn't show up, and that was not the only division. Another division had that, and it's interesting now because you look on IBJJF, and I'm sure you saw they're not listed. So they're not listed as finalists. They just list the third, and there's a lot of speculation about why that happened or didn't. But what you're saying is like, man, just kind of keeping the perspective when you're going through these scenarios of like, how is this? What does this really mean for my life? Like when you're in that kind of scenario, it's unfortunate because it's in your mind, or I would imagine in my mind, it's like, man, I was here trying to win a world title, and now the people that were supposed to be in the finals are not even here. So what does that mean for my career? But again, going back to the perspective of like, what is really wrong? Like, am I okay? Am I healthy? Am I?
And I told Victor, I say, hey, what do you want to do? Because when the Merigali situation happened, my biggest thing was like, I'm not here to tell Victor to be in the final. Like everybody, oh, you know, they didn't blame me. I say, Merigali had a disciplinary thing. Like,
well, and also just in case you guys don't know what Merigali got disqualified after the match, and then so they pushed Victor into the finals as a result, and a lot of people were very unhappy with that. But it wasn't a Victor decision or a Xande decision. It was an IBJJF decision.
Yeah, and it even clarified. So I never even went there. So what happened was all that happened, and I'm like, you're supposed to be disqualified. Like, I don't even know why you're here. So he came and talked to me, yeah, you know, they're talking shit outside. I'm like, bro, this is just how it is. Like, you're Merigali, bro. You're bigger than that. Like, I even told him, man, you're a champion. You got to act like one, you know? And then I'm looking at the referees. I'm like, you guys fault. Like, you guys had no balls to like, hey, why do you, like, took me a second to like, is he giving a finger?
Yeah.
Like that's
to realize what was going on.
Right? Like, wow, you know, like one of the guys just said, like, hey, alemão, you know, abre a guarda aí, like, was very like flirty, say, hey, open the guard, like, this is what he said, you know, and alemão is his nickname, you know, and he say like in a very maybe like, you know, ironic way, and then he got upset, which is fine, you know what I mean? And fucking Merigali for me, I always mention Merigali in my seminars. So now we're back there, and I'm like, bro, like, this is bullshit. Like, something has to be done, like for the sport. So I got there, they were already talking about it, and I say, guys, I'm not here to put my guy in the fight. My guy will not fight.
Right.
I say, Peter, why would I say, Sean, whatever, you know, I lost.
Yeah.
I was like, guys, I'm not here. I made that very clear. I'm just here because what's going to happen is I'm going to show a finger every fight.
And then what are you going to do?
You're going to have a precedent, like a precedent, whatever the word is. So I go there, I say, okay. And then they say, okay, we're going to disqualify him because there was, you know, I say, okay, you know, all right. It is what it is. And then they came back, and then the guy asked me, hey, would Victor fight? I'm like, is this in the bylaws that he will fight? Because he will do for the sport. But personally, I kind of even don't want him to do it.
Yeah.
But if it has to be done, is the rule, and then he'll do it. And then I ask him, I say, are you comfortable with that? You know, so that's the things that I tell my fighters, like, hey, is that okay with you? Like, or should I have done a different approach, or
well, and then it goes back to perspective too. Like, we're talking about this however long later, but in the long term of his career, like Victor's looking at his career, it's like, it's just kind of what you said. It's not the same issue with the injury, but it is the perspective of like, okay, this was a sporting event. What happened in the sporting event? And then we go back to our lives. Like, are we living a life we're proud of? Are we an athlete we're proud of? Are we, when we're in that role of a role model, whether we like it or not, are we making choices that we are proud of if other people are watching and copying the same thing? Exactly. Right. So I think a lot of people make these really, really huge deals about kinds of scenarios. I'm not saying that it wouldn't be hard to be in America's position. Of course, I'm not really speaking on that at all. But when you look at these kinds of things in sporting events, it's like, okay, we also got to keep the bigger picture in mind too.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then the same thing this weekend, like should I have like fight for his title? Like, I told the guys, say, guys, did I say no? Xande, okay? I say, Victor, I say, hey man, I'm here for the sport. You know what I mean? I say, bro, you're gonna do this again? like we were talking about it, because man, shit, like, and I didn't say anything. I was like, like they're like, oh, the guys are not here. And I'll say, guys, you know where I am. If you need my opinion, I'll give my opinion. But it's gonna be so sad. Yeah. Like, I'm almost don't want him to fight. Yeah. And he's like, and then I ask him, I say, what are we gonna do? He's like, well, if it's in the rules that I'll fight, because you can't really, like, because like they just knew the guys were there. Until you actually call them up, it's just a no show. And there's nothing in the rules that say if the guys don't show up. Yeah. And then what do you do with that? And then I ask Roosevelt, I'll fight. Fuck it, I'll fight. Yeah. That's all that happened, and like I said, I was consulting them. And the same thing I told, in the beginning about loyalty. I said, guys, if I ever act a way that you guys don't agree, leave me. Either talk to me or leave me. You guys have the whole thing. But I will not run from a fight.
I like it. So what are you excited about? Last question. What are you excited about in the next 15 years? We have this, you've officially, well, maybe not Euros, but you've technically officially retired, right, from adult competition. So you have your school.
Huh? I don't think I can be in the bullpen anymore.
So, well, then what does excite you? If in the eyes of Xande Ribeiro, what do you excited
talking,
about?
Getting a grip of K. That excites me. Excites me. Like, I get excited about our thing, I get excited about Vitor's development, Felipe, my team, I get excited about new projects. I get excited about seeing Jiu-Jitsu in 50 countries, you know what I mean? Like, of course, I'm not going to be like a Gracie Barra with 1,000 schools. I don't see that. But I want to be in many schools. I like islands. So I like islands. I have Tahiti. I have Mallorca. I have Philippines. I have Crete. So I love islands. So every school that has an island, please call me. Seychelles. I want that Seychelles too. I don't know. It just excites me to raise my daughter into a beautiful woman. It excites me to see kids growing up. It excites to see where your podcast goes. Excited to see everything. Excited to see what's going to happen to Margalia Worlds. What's going to happen to Gordon Ryan. I'm excited to see what's going to happen. To
be a fan of the sport too, right?
I'm excited what's going to be. Next ADCC. I'm just excited. I'm a fan. The thing is, what people don't understand, I'm a fan. Yeah. I follow people that I love, even if they don't follow me, I could care less. I like watching it. I mention people that I like the Jiu-Jitsu, even though I might not agree with things they say, but I do mention people. I'm that person. Yeah. You know what I mean? And with Six Blades, like, I want to be able to bring these people. I love what Lovato does. Lovato, like, I have I'm a little jealous about him because he's able to bring people to his academy. He had in 1 year, Lo was in his academy, a month before Lo passed. And then, he had
Mika. I went there. He had so many.
Lucas Lepri, you know what I mean? Homolu. I was like, wow, I want to get to that point. Because now that I have zero responsibility to even do for myself, I'll just
being an athlete.
Just Dojo Storm.
Right.
like even Gordon not too long ago, he's like, yeah, I'll put the gi on to train with you. I'm like, okay, awesome. Let's do this, Yeah. And then, even the guys in B team, we're like having a drink and say, hey, you gotta come down. You know what I mean? Let's come down. Have a beer train. I'm like, have a beer and train? I'll train and have a beer. Yeah, train and have a beer. That's why, maybe because I know I know the sport is what it is right now. And I know how I helped. And I just want to be part of it. I tell people I like to be part of the party.
Enjoy the party.
Yeah. Enjoy the party. Even though I'll be outside watching, I have zero regrets. There's nothing that I could have done better. I did what I had to do with the skills that I had, with the mindset that I had.
Left it on the mat.
Yeah, I left it all there. I did what I did. I battled the GOATs. of this sport. I battled Roger 8 times, Lagarto 5, Braulio 7, Galvão 8. So I fought all those guys. Too bad when I beat those guys, there wasn't internet. But
I wasn't there.
You know what I mean?
We'll have to dig up the Budo videos
and then
for
you
you.
go like to the modern area. I fought Rodolfo. I fought Pena 5 times.
Yeah.
You know, I fought Romulo. I fought Gordon. I fought Craig. I fought Lowe. You know what I mean? Like I fought Cyborgs 5 times.
Yeah.
I fought everybody. You know what I mean? Like, and I did what I did. I did from all the way from Gordo to Gordon.
Yeah. So now we enjoy the party.
Yeah. Now I just watching. Okay, guys, I'm waiting for you. First round is on me.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So after talking about, man, all these stories of your life and looking at your goals in the future, what does it mean? I'm going to ask again. Your answer may be the same and it may be different. And either way is fine. But what does it mean to you to have a grip on your life? Do you feel any differently than before?
Have a grip on my life.
Yeah.
Understand what you're made of. You know, your purpose. I think that's the main thing. If you don't live a life with purpose, you have no direction. It's like a compass that spins around.
And what would you say your purpose is right now?
Right now is develop something that can benefit people. You know, like for example, Victor Hugo is someone that I always mention to people because he went through the whole process. He came in, barely spoke English, but he was willing to work his way around. Next thing I know, he's speaking English, he's speaking Spanish, he's fighting, he's developing himself as a fighter. Now he's a business owner.
Right.
You know what I mean? So he went through the whole process.
So contributing to that, to the lives of people doing that.
My purpose now, like we were talking at the beginning, I could make 2 choices right now. Build a brand that benefits me and build a brand that benefits the environment. You know, more people, like, you know, resources and things like that. So and I think that's what I want to do. I want to build dreams. You know, I want to be, you know, someone that you can reach out and I'll help you to accomplish your dreams. You know what I mean? With the skills that I have and the tools that I have to make that happen. You know, like I believe, like for example, in Carlos Crazy, you know, speaks about it, and like I mentioned a lot of people about you too, how you're such a young age, you own 4 schools, and you know you still have time to have a personal life, and and you know you're in Austin here, you know, renting a place and building this project, and still. So when people say, "Oh, I don't have time," well, you know, depends. You can make time.
What are your priorities?
I think that's the things, and I think, like I said, you wouldn't be able to do this if Carlos wouldn't have had that vision.
Right.
That's, you know what I mean? I think that's what I want to. That's what I want to leave there. You know, I want to leave a mark where, okay, with the accomplishments, whatever, flying arm locks, whatever that is. But I think like, oh, you know, like because of Sean done that, we were doing this today.
Yeah, the ripple effect. You're looking farther out to the future.
You know, even ADCC, people don't know, but it started with a challenge that I did on Mo. Yeah. You know the story, right?
You want to tell it?
Where I told him that ADCC was just a backyard wrestling tournament. He's like, I'll make the best ever. So, okay. And then, like I said, just watching that, it was amazing. I was like, wow. And like, in a way, I had a little piece in there.
Piece to play, yeah.
Because I only followed ADCC and my whole career grew with ADCC. I only didn't compete 2 editions and I compete the rest. The ones I didn't compete, I was hurt. So, you know, it just makes, even IBJJF, even there, I was like, I think you should, like, write a book about your relationship with IBJJF. I was like, does IBJJF has money to sponsor that? We can talk about, I like this conversation. You know what I mean? But can I say the bad things too? Yeah. You know, and I think like that, you know, so like I can literally sleep and say, I have helped with my love and grit and everything to build the 2 biggest organizations that own grappling today. You know, ADCC, I was part of it. I got hurt in there. I fought. I had the most fights of everyone. I have 43 fights. Wow. In ADCC, I have won. I have beat 5 ADCC absolute champions. Right. You know, before they became absolute champions. You either fight me or you either lose to me and then you win ADCC. Well, because the scene is still good. Okay, let's go back just to finish that one. 2003, I beat Dean Lister. He wins that year. And then I lost to Roger. And then I fought Roger, and he wins 2005. Okay. Who won 07? Drysdale. I beat Drysdale in the division, and he wins the absolute the same year. I beat Braulio in the final 07. He beats me in the final 09. I beat Galvão on the quarterfinals 09, and he wins 11.
Wow. There's a conspiracy theory happening here.
Conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
And then I didn't compete 13. Who won 13 was Cyborg. But I did fought Cyborg Gi a year before that, and I beat him, and then he won. 15. Who won 15? Oh, it was Calazans.
Yeah.
I did fought Calazans in Abu Dhabi for the World Pro, and then he won ADCC. And then 17, Pena won. I did beat Pena for 90% of the time we fought, but he beat me all the time. I would beat him until the last minute. He would beat me. He won ADCC finals. Gordon Ryan. I lost to him in the semifinal. I hate that I say that, but that was a very controversial fight. He ended up winning 19. So, yeah.
The rest
and, 19, I didn't compete, and Gordon won that. And then who won this time was Yuri, which I fought Yuri, too. So, yeah, crazy.
Now you know how to win ADCC.
Actually, I have fought every single absolute champion, if you look at it this way.
Wow.
But Arona and Zemario. Those are the only ones that I didn't compete against.
That's wild.
Yeah, because I fought Dean, I fought Roger, I fought Drysdale, I fought Braulio, I fought Galvão, I fought Cyborg, I fought
Pena and Gordon.
Pena. No, who won 15? I fought Calazans, I fought Pena, and I fought Gordon. So I fought all of them.
Yeah, that's wild.
Crazy, huh?
That's a pretty.
And I'm the only one that doesn't win the freaking absolute. That's over.
Yeah, okay. That's a pretty short list of people who have fought all the ADCC absolute champions. Yeah. Well, man, Xande, thank you so much for being on. It was such a pleasure to have you. I learned, it's funny because I am going to put the picture up from when I was young, but I've known you for so long, and I still feel like there was so much that I wanted to know about your career that was really interesting. So thank you.
Thank you so much, and congratulations in the work. I think you're being a beautiful voice, not just
I'm gonna start singing.
Voice. Yeah, for the Jiu-Jitsu, and definitely a representation for the females too. Knowing that like I said, you're a business owner, you live your life and things like that, and I think. Not just being a champion, like of course this is for everybody. It's not just being a champion that makes you successful. It's what you do every day. How much work you put in, how you use your tools to grow. You know what I mean? You how old are you now?
25. I almost forgot.
25 owns like what 10 schools.
No.
Have but I'm just saying. It's very complicated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You make it happen. So
a lot of hats.
I'm a fan. So you guys watching here, you should. Get a grip, okay?
Get a grip. But man, thank you so much, Xande. And also thank you guys for listening. As always, we're going to link all of Xande's information in the show notes so you guys can check out his Instagram. What else should they look for when they're looking for you? Your IG? Do you have a website? Your Fanatics instructionals?
Yeah, just Fanatics instructions.
You have a lot of camps and stuff too.
Yeah. One thing that I want to do a lot is my camps. I want to kind of run away with the whole one night stand seminars. Of course, I still love doing seminars, but I want more of my guys to go do that. So we have the Fuji cruise in January. I'm going to Australia in February. The cruise, by the way. Yeah, I'm gonna be there. Cool. I'm going to be in Australia in February. I'm going to be in Brazil end of March, beginning of April. I'm working on a camp with Hanach in Canada. I'm waiting for her to let me know if that's going to happen. And then I have the Hero BJJ in April in Costa Rica. And then I'm going to be in Austin for the Camp for Worlds, train the people. And then we have Grapples Escape in June. Wow. It's another cruise. So, see, I love islands, guys. I told you.
Yes.
One day I'm going to own the Jiu-Jitsu island. And then, of course, the Budokan camp is end of July. I do have a product in the Budokan online, which is the flow pressure finish blueprint, where I teach all my jiu-jitsu in the eyes of mobility. So how do I use my mobility within my techniques? Bottom, flow, top, of course, top position is animal locomotion with pressure, and then finish is just how mobility and flexibility helps you, be more precise in submission. So that's how it goes. But anyway, just go to the Instagram. I do my own Instagram anyway, even though there's all these people like, hey, you want to work with you? No, I don't care about resumes. If you don't follow me, you follow me. If not, the algorithm will kick you out anyway. So
So make sure you guys check out all of that. We're going to link it, but it's all on his Instagram too, so you guys can check that there. Follow, subscribe, like, all that stuff. Share the podcast and leave a review. Please let me know what questions were helpful, what's not, what you want to hear more of, what you want to know if Xande comes back on in the future, and share it with anyone that would find it helpful. It's really helpful to the podcast for me so that I can give you guys the best quality information and give you guys the best value as we go along. So we'll check back in with you guys in a couple of weeks, and thanks for listening as always.